Nothing we say is investment advice. Please pause on all 3 pages of this disclaimer and read it.
Good morning, everybody. Cowboy, and it is Friday, and it is 8:30 a.m. EST. Almost. We're actually gonna see a little bit of data come out right now. I'm gonna go to the low time frame and see how it affects. We'll go with Bitcoin here. We're just gonna see how the data affects the news in the 5-minute. Right. So it'll come out any minute. We've got. Not looking at it, I don't want to take my eyes off the screen here, but I think it's non-farm payrolls or unemployment data or some kind of data coming out here. So we're just waiting for the clock to tick over. There we go. See how it popped up like that? Now, a lot of people are tempted to trade news, right? They're like, oh, the candle's going to move and I can, have a chance at making the money here. Well, we're going to follow this candle here for a minute and we're going to see what might have happened if someone decided to try to take advantage of this. Right now, this is a 5-minute chart. You're looking at a pretty low time frame. So if somebody wanted to maybe go long, put their stop loss below the support and, see how it goes kind of thing, maybe take their profit right there, scalp themselves out at 1.5 risk to reward, or even be a bit more risky, maybe put their stop loss here. That's the kind of stuff that people do, right? They have maybe 2 trades going, and one of them is going to be long, one's going to be short. They do like a bracket and they set up ahead of time. And it looks to me like the news was relatively mild. Now, the price went up initially. You saw that initial spike, and then the candle came right back down. I would not be surprised to see this head down. I would not be surprised at all to see this continue to head down. Yep, there it is right there. So a lot of people might have initially gone long because the candle popped up with news, right? They might not have even seen what the news was. They just went long. They just went with the flow. And what happens with these announcements, if they're strong enough, if the data is far enough away from whatever the estimate was, price will go in a different direction to what was expected, or price will initially go in one direction, people enter the trade, and it yanks into the other direction. Anybody who went long right now is pretty much like at a break even. But based on what I'm seeing here, seems like a pretty tame announcement. So now the price isn't really doing all that much. Let's roll over to the data and we'll see. It's unemployment change, hourly earnings, non-farm. Okay, so I was right. The Canadian data came out too, but we're really focusing on the US data. Looks like the unemployment rate was a little bit higher, but the employment change for non-farm was higher. So this is mixed data, right? And then the average hourly earnings, not earnings, the average hourly earnings are as expected. So it's mixed data. And what that means is that you have some bullish, some bearish, so it's going to not cancel itself out, but it's just going to make for mixed markets that don't necessarily move in a clear direction. But for now, it appears that the dollar is getting slightly weaker on the news and the price will continue to move up. So this particular event was not as eventful, and it's not really doing anything at this time that's a terribly big surprise. Let's take a brief look over at the euro versus the dollar. That one popped down, right? So this is like interesting. It's behaving the opposite of how Bitcoin is. So Bitcoin, the dollar comparatively got a little bit weaker, but here for the euro, the dollar got comparatively a little bit stronger. Let's see what happens with the pound. Same as the euro, more or less. USD JPY, it looks like the dollar kind of got a little bit stronger there for a minute than the JPY, and just because it started to head up. Now, Canada's a trick because they had their own data, so it's going to be hard to read that one. AUD-USD, looks like the dollar got a little bit weaker compared to the Aussie, so the opposite of what happened with the euro. So definitely what I'm reading here is nothing terribly clear. And what that tends to mean is that the data coming out didn't show the market very much. And so people are just kind of speculating and more or less waiting for the news to come out so they could go ahead and continue to trade. That's what that looks like to me. Because here now the dollar is getting weaker with the Aussie dollar, and the same with Bitcoin. And with the euro, though, it appears that the dollar is getting stronger. So there you go. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and go through the charts and see how the week is ending. Usually these, shows are pretty calm. I tend not to trade on Fridays. especially if there's news. I might scalp out a little profit here and there, but Fridays end up being just kind of a wrap up, and then I just go handle other business, right? Now, before we get too far, take a look at the bottom of the screen, get your free algo, link in the description. If you go there, this is an algo that you can take and you can optimize. It's profitable. It's not anywhere near my best algo, but it is an algo. And this particular algo that I will send you, it's going to teach you a little bit about what we do. It's not going to teach you some of the most key things, but at least it's going to teach you nuts and bolts. And if you're already a trader, you can take that and be profitable with it. If you're not a trader, then there's probably some mistakes you're going to make, because I could give you my best algo and you could fail. And the reason is that there's a lot more to trading than just trading. There's trading like a business. There's money management. There is trading psychology. There's a lot of things that we teach, and that's that, right? So let's move on to the NASDAQ. It's kind of the linchpin right now in the markets, right? Obviously, a tough week. We all know what happened with the tariffs, knocked the markets down pretty brutally. Wednesday was the day that we saw the big hard move down. Now I'm going to zoom out here. We're on a 5-minute chart, so let me actually make this a little more decipherable, right? So we can look at a better snapshot of the week. All right, so of course, going back to February, post-inauguration, we had this, about a month after inauguration, price really started to melt down with talk of tariffs. People are going to blame the tariffs. Ultimately, I think they're indirectly or semi-directly involved. I also think the European old money is taking the money out of the market and putting it in their own market, because we have seen a move up in the European markets, and it's happened at the same time as these moves down. So I think it's just kind of a retaliatory move, and that's fine, whatever. So we did see the NASDAQ catch some support back on the 10th of March, and it moved up a bit here up until like later in the month, and then we had price come back down to retest this support, and then it bounced right here on Monday. So beginning of the week, we had price run up until tariff talk, and then tariff talk initially looked like it was going to move up because Trump said it's not going to be as bad as we talked about. And then they showed us the chart and it didn't look so good. And price now has broken down. And this breakdown is very bearish looking. Okay. You had this support where price tested 3 times. And the NASDAQ, by the way, is the linchpin. Bitcoin is going to follow the NASDAQ. If you're interested in crypto, you want to be looking at the NASDAQ as well as the other indices, NASDAQ most importantly. So you had a support where price basically tested 3 times and stayed above. And when the price broke below, it gapped below. This is a brutal move down. Okay. And not only did it gap below, but it came back up immediately to retest it and continued down, right? Gap below, come up, retest, and now price is essentially just like melting down, going back several hours now. If I were to go down to the 30-minute chart, we're going to see that price really is starting a kind of a capitulation here on the NASDAQ right about 4 a.m. That's 6 a.m. EST. Price really started to kind of melt down here. So great volatility for traders. If you're a trader, you can make money on this. If you're just somebody who gives your money to a money manager at the end of every paycheck or whatever it is, and you're just got your money kind of stuck in this. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong ultimately with putting your money in the market like that. There's a lot of people who've made a lot of money over the years. Price right now in the markets, I think markets are down maybe 15%, maybe 20. I'm going to actually measure that right now. So sure, I mean, it's a tough hit to take, but price is now higher than it was in January of 2024. I mean, it's not like, any time before January 20, we're still above basically the 2021 all-time high, and then the all-time high that broke that in December of 2023. We're still above that. I mean, it's not like the markets are just melting, right? So I do believe that 16,800 or 17,000 is going to be a tough nut to crack. That's where this blue line is that you see right here. I think for the NASDAQ, we're going to see price come down to that area and possibly do a bit of a bounce. And that could happen like today, next week, something like that. Now, if price breaks below this immediately, if price does not bounce here at least a little bit, right? At least a little bit. Doesn't have to go really high. Just want to see some kind of a bounce there. If price breaks below that, then this is pretty bearish for things. You see price kind of pull another one of these break below and move down, right? Moves. That would be pretty brutal. Now, how far down has the market come since all-time highs? All-time high was in December, mid-December, and again, more or less in mid-February. It was almost the all-time high. I just retested it basically. And since then, price is now down 18%. Okay. I mean, we saw a 30-something percent pullback in January or February, I should say, March of 2022. A pullback like this is not unheard of in recent history, and price came back and made all-time highs. So I know there's not a ton of panic selling. It does seem that retail is on the low time frame panic selling right now, just the last few hours. But overall, I mean, this really isn't that big of a deal. Yeah, sure, trillions are wiped out. Don't get me wrong. Like, a lot of money has left the market. But these things do happen. We saw it happen in July of 2024. In July, the market was down 17%. So it's pretty much down 18% right now. Market came back. Look, here's the deal. The market is being restructured. Okay. And when you build a better home, you knock down the old home. And I have a feeling that's what's going on here. All these tariffs and all this talk, everything needs to be kind of revamped in order to build what Trump hopes to build. Now, we don't know if he's going to be successful. My understanding is he probably will, because he's got the right people behind him. And if that's true, things should eventually come back, if not soon, then a little bit later. Now, the Guerilla, who I've been working with since 2017, has been talking about when this is all going to come back. And he's been right a lot. Like, he is rarely wrong. And I can tell you that if we see price continue down, or even if it just levels out, according to what I'm hearing, there's a good chance it's going to come back, and it's not that far away. So in the meantime, for those of us who want to actually make money, even when price is going down, you can come to algofactory.tech. So come on over, algofactory.tech. We'll treat you how to trade like a hedge fund pro. And what I'm going to do right now is go over to the private live lab. And what that means is that our private members are going to get another 50 minutes or more. That's almost an hour of private question and answer, custom charting, and pretty much whatever they want from me. And usually via the Guerilla. He's out this week. He's got some IRL stuff to deal with. But the two of us will come in there. We'll talk about what we're seeing in the markets. We'll talk about a lot about what we're seeing in geopolitics and how it's affecting the markets. And that really is a great way to, to get some data, to get some alpha, to find out what's probably going to happen with markets. We are exceedingly good at what we do. We're exceedingly good at predicting where price is going to go. You see these red tabs right here, right there. I built this algo. That red tab, those red tabs, calling those moves down like a charm. This green tab as well, you see it called the move up like a charm. All right. I'm very good at this. And we're going to go ahead and teach you how to build your own trading method. All right. Algofactory.tech. Come on over, learn how to trade like a hedge fund pro. We'll see you Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m. EST sharp. And by the way, keep your eye out on Sunday. We'll do a market update, and I'll send that out for everybody to see. And go ahead and get that free algo. Go down to the description. And if you get that free algo, I will also send you emails saying, hey, the show's out. I'll send you like a reminder when we do any kind of updates. We're also going to be doing like workshops, stuff like that. A lot of that stuff is going to be free. So get that free algo. Give us your first name and your email. I don't care if it's even a fake first name, whatever. And we'll keep in touch with you. Also, never forget.
Join us or die.
Just kidding, Alan Rickman. You're not going to die. We love you.